Welcome back, friends, to another video of Laravel 11 API. In this video, we are going to learn about the Sanctum token-based authentication of Laravel. So we are going to need two endpoints for this. One is a login endpoint, one is a register endpoint. So let's start by creating this endpoints first. I'm going to use an invocable controller for each of these endpoints. Now, in invocable controllers, they do a single action. For registration and login, we don't need add, edit, delete functionality. It's just going to be a login and registration. So I'm going to create an invocable controller for this. So the command for that is php artisan make controller register controller, and it's going to be hyphen invocable. And let's do the same thing for a login controller. Let's also create a request for the register controller and a login controller. Now, the request, as I said in my previous videos, they're used to validate the data that comes to the controller, that comes to the endpoint. So we are going to use two new requests. So php artisan make request, register request, and login request. Let's go to the files, http controllers, register controller. Let me close other tabs. And we also got a login controller. And we've got two new requests here, login request, register request. In the register controller, we've got a single action, which is an invoke function over here. I'm going to change this request with the register request. Let's import it. Similarly, in the login controller, I'm going to use the login request. Let's import that as well. Let's go to the register request and set the fields that we need. Let me just change this to true. We need a username. Let's just say required for now. We also need an email address. We need a password. And we also need a confirm password, which has to be same as the password. Let's go to the login request. Let's change this to true. And we need email required. And that should exist in the users table, and that's the email column. Let's check if it is an email column. Yes, that's an email column. And we also need the password. Next, let's go in the api.php and send this, set this routes. So in api.php, it's going to be a post route. So I'm just going to do /register and it's going to be register controller, app HTTP controllers, register controller. Let's do the same thing for the login route as well. App HTTP controllers, this is going to be the login controller. And we don't need this because it has got only one function in it, which is invocable. We don't need to specify any function name here. So that's all done. Let's now go to the Postman and create a new request. I'm going to create a new folder for this. So folder authentication, add request. This is going to be a post. I'm going to grab the URL, post API, and this is going to be register. Let's add the two headers that we need. Content type, and body is going to be JSON, but it's going to be username. Hit test for now. Email test. Password. And I'm going to do the confirm password as well. Let's check if this endpoint is working. I'm going to save it. Yeah, so it's hitting our request and it's complaining that the confirm password is not the same. We're now going to try to save the user and register the user in the database. Let's go to the register controller and see if we are getting the data, the validated data. But first we'll have to change this to 6 and make it same. Let's go back here and item data. Let's go back to the Postman. And yes, we're getting the validated data back in the controller. Now we have to save this user data in the users table. But first we will have to process the password. We cannot save the password in plain text in database. So I'm going to do password. I'm going to use bcrypt instead of hashmake. And I'm going to use name data as the username. So let's go to database, name, email, and password. So we've got username here. So let's change this to name to username. And let's say user $user create data. That will create the user in the database. Now we need to generate the token as well when the user registers. So to do that, we're going to generate a token like so. Token equal to user create token, and we're going to return plain text token back to the user. And the create token, it's a string in it, so you can use any string over here. It uses it to generate the token, and the plain text token returns the token in a plain text to the user. And we also going to actually we are also going to send the username back to the user. So we need a response, and I'm going to set a response token to token and response username, which is user dot name. And let's return JSON code response back to the user. Let's try this. Hopefully it works. Have we taken off the die dump? Yes. See if it works. A user class not found. We need to import it. App model user. That's the one we want. Let's try it again. We've got another error. Call to undefined method create token. We're getting an error here. It's a 500 internal server error. And if we try to run it again, we're getting a duplicate entry. So it's created multiple users, I guess, or it's already created a user here. But let's try to delete it. Delete row. And try it again. Yep, we're getting an error. So let's try to fix it. I want to go to models first and see if we have to add anything over there. And we need to add a trait here. It's called has API tokens. It's Laravel Sanctum trait. So has API tokens. Let's delete the user again. Let's try to create it again. And this time it has worked, and it has given us back the token that we can now use to protect our endpoints. Let's use the token to protect the get categories endpoint. So let's go to our api.php file, and let's use the token to protect this endpoint. So we do route middleware auth sanctum and user group, and that's a function, and all those roots go inside this function. So let's delete it. And now let's try to get get categories by get products by category, and it says unauthenticated. Now let's use this token to authenticate the user. So in the authorization tab, it will be a bearer token, like so. And if we now pass, we should get back the categories. Sorry, we should get back the category with the products. Let's test it again. If I say no auth, send it, it's unauthenticated. If I say bearer token, the bearer token, and it gets back the records. So that means this authentication is working. This is a token-based authentication. Let's do some changes to the login endpoint to generate the tokens, similarly how we have done with the registration endpoint. So in the login controller, we need to get username, email or password, and authenticate the user, check if the user exists in the database, and if the user exists and if the credentials are correct, then we give a token back to the user. So let's do it. So we need email and password. So the data is going to be request validated. Let's dump the data. Let's go back. This is a register endpoint. Let's do a new one. Let's add request. Let's login endpoint. It's also going to be a post endpoint because we are posting username and password. Accept. Application JSON. Content type. Application JSON. The body tag, need raw, and it's going to be email and password. Put in the wrong password and see if it works. And then we go here. Let's first check the endpoint is working. And looks like an endpoint is working. The data is validated, but we need to check now whether the user exists with that username, with that email and password. So to do that, we have a function in Laravel in the auth facade, attempt, email and password. Let's import this. It's the support facades auth. If auth attempt, email, data email, password, request, data password, then we are going to use the same create token. We are going to use the create token method that we used in the register controller. So we need to get the auth authenticated user first, and that we can use the auth user method, and we're going to get the token now. So token equal to user create token, and this is a string that we need to pass, and we also need username. Dollar username name, and I'm going to create a response here. On the response token is token, and response username is username, and I'm going to return JSON encode response. Let's delete this item, and hopefully that works. Now let's try. So this user is invalid. So in this case, we need to send if error user does not exist. And response error return JSON encode response. There you go. We're getting error over here. We can do better messaging, better responses, but for now we're going to work with this. I'm going to put in the right password now, and then it should give me the new token. Now if I go back to my endpoint and use the older token, it should still work. Newer one should still work. Sometimes you would want to expire older tokens. So because this user is able to access this endpoint using both tokens, which is not right, we have to expire some older tokens. So in the personal access tokens, you can see this user has got 2 tokens. I'm going to expire one of the tokens over here by setting an expiry date, which is same as created date. And now we should be able to use only one of the tokens. Register. I'm going to use the registered token. There you go. That token is expired now. You can't use it. So the only token that can be used is the login token. And that works. That's it in this video. In the future videos, we are going to dig more into more complex relationships. We are going to create product attributes and product attributes values, which is a little more complex than what we have already done. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching these videos. If you like my videos, then please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to create videos periodically, maybe once a week when I get time. So for now, thank you for watching these videos, and I hope you liked it.